Let's talk about beef. Where's the beef? Well, all the beef's being imported and the prices are increasing because our cattle ranchers are ditching their herds. Record prices for the rest of the barbecue season. Money printing also in its season. Money printing to infinitum, which means every commodity on the planet is just going to have this never ending stair step up, more expensive, stair step up, more expensive. So how are we going to get ready for the rest of the year into these, well, next couple of years is the question. And starting you off right here, what do we consume? We put in our bellies. Calories, the most important energetic unit to measure on the planet. Top 20 most consumed foods on Earth. Which ones are going up in price? Oh, all of them. Rice, wheat, corn, potatoes, chicken, right at the top. We saw the record wheat pricing. I did a couple of videos on that the last few days. Record rice prices. Corn going to follow with the increases in fuel. No fertilizer, lack of fertilizer. Corn's a heavy eater. Corn up. And everything in that loop of animal feed, well, that's going to cause all the chicken and egg prices to increase, as well as pork. Sticky way down at the bottom, 19 and 20. Coffee up record, sugar up record. You just can't win. Everything up to record pricing. Could we substitute sugar beets for the sugar? Oh, wait, sugar beets record prices as well. You just can't win. Where are we going to get on the planet to hide from this? I don't know if we can. Price changes at the year 2000. Ground beef right at the top, 3.4x increase. This looks like some real official figures to me. Official inflation across all foodstuffs, 93%, although during COVID we saw massive increases. So I don't even know if these are correct. But eggs, 152%, that's a 1.5x. I know it rose even way more than that in the last few years, just in the last 3 years. So these numbers could be taken with a grain of salt. Oh, wait, salt, record pricing, my bad. Everywhere you look, everything we buy is getting more expensive. There's really nowhere to run from this any longer. It's almost like you have to embrace it, understand what's happening, what's coming, and food's not the only thing that's going to record pricing. Almost everything that's used in a manufacturing process also, and the plastics and everything in our entire modern world is going up record pricing. And you just have to ask yourself, what is that? Why is this happening? Well, the governments are printing so much money to try to get themselves out of this hole until they can switch over to stablecoins and get the rest of the world to, well, take up this debt. Instead of governments holding it, they're going to flog it off over to you, the individual, as they do this magic with the stablecoins. So get ready for that. Everything's just going to get more expensive. And the magic wand to make it all go away is 8 billion people. You take all the debt that was created over the last 50 years from all the governments, and we'll call it even. Oh, wait, my food prices doubled again while I was talking. I want to put a little method to the madness here. So why are the beef prices going up so much? Record beef imports are surging. So we're not actually raising enough beef. Here in America, it's supposed to be the home of the beef, the home of the cattle, home of the steak. Yet we need to import because we're not producing enough. And the projections here going up through the end of 2026 are apparently going to be up around 6-7 billion pounds coming in because we can't supply this from our own native supply chains. So these are in billions of tons, these numbers here, so 6 billion. They're going to have to put another band on the chart and go above this. Leveled off for a second, but it is definitely heading up, especially with the drought that's going on. That's wiping out our wheat as well. Cattle, they get graze out somewhere. They're not going to graze on dry dirt and withered grasses. Not a chance. So the farmers are going to get rid of them. U.S. beef price per pound. This is record, and it's actually gone up to about 7.3 or $7.30 from here. So this is actually off the chart, just even in the last week, which is this previous chart. It's going so fast again. Like they're going to have to start adding difference. So that should be an $8 chart, a $9 chart to really kind of put this in perspective here. We're going up above an hour of minimum wage for a pound of ground beef, which is insane. Modern military dominance comes down to one thing: what's in the supply chain. And right now, there's a critical gap that Washington is spending billions to close. Something the U.S. hasn't mined in nearly a decade: tungsten. The Pentagon, through the Department of Defense, has spent close to $10 million to restart domestic tungsten production, and that's not all. An additional $30 billion was announced to accelerate domestic production and secure strategic supply chains. This is where Vault Strategic Mining comes into play, trading under KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States. Vault is built around a specific operating model. They acquire historic mines and use modern exploration techniques to maximize value. With a proven historic mine that operated under a defense minerals exploration contract around World War II, Vault aren't exploring for tungsten, they're revitalizing tungsten. Prices have been climbing as governments and manufacturers race to secure reliable Western supply chains outside of China, which still dominates the global market. Vault's flagship project is located in one of North America's most historically productive tungsten belts, a region the USGS estimates could hold around 168,000 tons of tungsten oxide in the ground. Today's prices, that equates to potential in situ value of roughly $30 to $50 billion, and Vault is positioned right in the middle of it. In less than 12 months, the United States has taken 5 major actions to rebuild critical mineral supply chains, including Executive Order 14231, Project Vault. The reason's simple: America's defense supply chains depend on tungsten, and the U.S. no longer mines it commercially. The Pentagon is actively funding domestic supply chains for that exact tungsten that Vault has in the ground. And thank you for Vault Strategic Mining Corporation for sponsoring today's video. You can get their latest presentation here on their website, vault-presentation.com/adapt-2030, or click on that link in the description box below. As well as the U.S. cattle inventory, like how many cows are out there? They've been demonized left, right, and center. Don't eat beef, too much water. Oh, wait, data centers, beef okay because it's not as much water as the data center. Okay, whatever. But still, the cattle down. And this is going to continue to shrink. Like that 2027 number is going to go definitely down. All the forecasts are, these farmers, they're getting rid of everything. They can't afford to keep it. These cows take resources. And the reason they can't get some of these resources is because, well, even with farm credit, a lot of these cattle ranchers / farmers, farm debt is drowning them. Literally, they can't even get at break-even cost. Now, everything ran away so fast as we speak. They're really in dire straits at the moment. I mean, the inflation that took off that was not even anticipated before this Iran war thing. This takes a paper trail of 6 months to get financing, or even longer. And they're already behind the ball on how fast everything's risen in price. And then the yellow line in the center is the amount of cattle in the middle of the drought. And we've taken a look at the drought map before, but here it is this week for you again. There's been some relief on that because of the snows coming through Colorado. Can you believe it? Snow this late in the season. But hey, with a tweaking magnetic field, anything's possible at any time from this point forward, which is why, well, maybe this is the fire sale going across the planet, because if you can't salvage it, you might as well get something of value from it. Dark red, cattle gone. That's the thing. There's so many variables happening at the moment. I mean, nature is something ferocious to battle with. This drought is the worst in 130 years in terms of coming into the planting season. Cattle, obviously, there's this battle between water usage right now, data centers, got cities that need it, cattle ranchers, farming, and then the whole debate whether cows should be grown, should we raise them up? We got the emissions off of that. I'm thinking, wait a minute here. Why is the food supply being targeted as a thing that needs to be removed, but everything else that's non-humans needs to come straight in and take its place? That it should be a question to be asked. And again, the farmers, the farm financing, there's so many farms that are going to go bankrupt this year. The prices have just run away so quickly. And if they did plant, like for example, the winter wheat, It's coming out. This is just not grown. The amount of available moisture to make it grow. Plants don't grow without water. Or even though they planted last year and it emerges in the spring, comes up. It's just not there. It's gone. Like the atrocious wheat, those are going back 55 years in the low wheat crop that we're experiencing this year. So a lot of farmers aren't going to be able to pay back those loans. So there's going to be more farms that go bankrupt, but the bigs will be in there to swoop them up. So, smaller, medium-sized farmers, the ones that were, multi-generational, those are going to get swept away because of these bankruptcies, which is kind of a travesty. We want to keep, multi-generation farms on our lands and producing for us, because that's really the backbone of our food supply. 1,000-acre range, that's something that grandparents passed down through the generations. We want to keep those alive, especially with the cattle ranchers. We need them. What are you going to do for proteins? Oh, wait, they've offered us cricket powder. Great substitute. Keep the cattle ranchers in business, please. But on the positive side, Beefaroo, I never heard of this before. If y'all know them, I'm not familiar. So looks like they have a special running $5.55 for a fresh meal deal. Roast beef and cheese, or a cheeseburger, or a pork tenderloin, $5.55. Now, a lot of people are going to run there because that does seem extraordinarily inexpensive for the food cost right now. But check out that delicious bun around the burger, at least in the photo. I'm going to bring you to the glyphosate levels in popular breads, parts per billion, laying it out here. Sara Lee honey wheat, naughty, 191, highest on the chart. You need a different supplier, my friends. Very non-detected at the bottom. Pepperidge Farms, Farmhouse Healthy White. Everything else in the middle there, you got to do your own due diligence. But Nature's Own butter bread, just barely below the Sara Lee at 190 parts per billion. And you got to clean up your act with that. That's not healthy for anybody, and you know it. And if I was going to spend my money, Pepperidge Farms, but I've known them since I was a kid. They've always had that like pure brand image, even since I was a kid. Grandparents used to have it around the house too. So that takes it back many a decade. And hey, activists, question for you. You're yapping on about can't have cattle because of the emissions. What do you think the emissions out of this? Overwatch 24/7 is putting out into our skies. Just asking for a farm friend here. A little moment of zen in the madness. And maybe the duck would be running from the hailstorm in China. Imagine the major crop growing region being hit by something like this. Your crops are gone. I don't care if it's an orchard or if it's on the ground like wheat or corn, gone. Just like previous civilizations we've seen through history, they come, they go, they rise to greatness, then they collapse. And you have to ask yourself why. What causes them to decline after their greatness? Well, lack of food is the answer. And now for us, lack of energy, because, well, the food is tied to the energy, but they weren't as energy dependent back, say, multi-thousands of years ago as we are today with the fossil fuels. Here we are, Hormuz, commercial cargo vessel crossings, way at the bottom of the valley. You can hear the echo shouting down there. And with the majority of the planet, we're going to be paying more for our fuel. So we're coming into a heavy inflation period. Some even might say hyperinflation when they add all the money printing in it. This is Weimar Germany for you. Money was so worthless, they were using it for wallpaper. But you see that glue? That was made from horse hooves. Today, we can't even eat the glue off the back of our wallpaper if we're starving because, well, there's too many chemicals in it. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Oh, wait, it's all GMO. You can't. Anyway, you see the entire full spectrum dominance on what is happening right now with your food supply, the money supply. Just everything you have and own is going to be extracted little by little. That's the end game here. I just am still on the fence if somebody knew the magnetic field shifts were going to really reduce crop yields so much that now it's the point to pull all the resources in because this is non-salvageable at the moment. And I go into more of this in, for example, the beef. I did a whole post today on Patreon and Subscribestar, trying to keep you abreast of these food disruptions and how it's going to ripple through our lives. It's more of a written form over there. I do a couple videos, but if you're looking for more in-depth analysis, please join me over there. And I do appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Please share with your friends and family. You're going to have to copy this link and then share it out yourself because the algo's none too kind with information sharing just like this. I will see you next video. Bye for now.